The Advocates brings the international human rights community together and creates opportunities for human rights defenders and partner organizations around the world to advance human rights through direct advocacy at the United Nations. One such defender is Kaleem Ali. Kaleem is a passionate advocate for human rights, social justice, and the representation of marginalized groups.
Being a member of the Greater Caribbean for Life, which is an organization that has worked with the advocates on several occasions. And then I had the opportunity in 2023 to go to Geneva with the advocates. I got exposed to the other thematic areas that they focus on. So I started doing some work on sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and LGBTQI plus reporting. And since then, I've done reports on approximately 13 countries with the advocates.
Kaleem has been at the forefront of initiatives to advance human rights and promote equity, including chairing the World Coalition Against the Death Penalty's Working Group on Women and Gender. Kaleem has provided valuable insight and guidance on our death penalty abolition efforts, including advising the advocates' volunteers in researching and writing reports for the UN Human Rights Committee.
I would meet with the pro bono team and give the pro bono team some sort of guidance, whatever the case may be. I had done a report on the death penalty and on LGBTQ plus issues in my home country. And the committee had convened to do the review. I had the committee members asked to meet me before they started this interactive dialogue with the state. And so they were asking me questions about the report. And so they wanted my thoughts on how it should be phrased. And they went in, they did the interactive dialogue.
As a volunteer, Kaleem works closely with the advocates, providing expertise on human rights issues in the Caribbean and co-authoring reports to the United Nations on both the death penalty and on LGBTIQ plus issues in several Caribbean countries.
And it was the first time that I observed my country literally in shock that they had information because they've enjoyed, Caribbean countries often enjoy a certain level of impunity, for lack of a better word, because there's such a lack of reporting of human rights issues in the Caribbean. And so seeing my own country be held accountable and being asked difficult questions, it really exposed to me that, this work is important work.
Kent Ritchie has been instrumental in our international advocacy at the United Nations, helping the advocates hold governments around the world accountable. In 2021, Kent retired from Faegre Drinker as a finance and business lawyer working with Native Americans. He began volunteering at the Advocates by helping to research and write reports on LGBTIQ plus rights and the death penalty in Guyana.
I was a finance business attorney, meaning I'm a document hound. Give me word processing, I just go to town. And so I said, reports, if you need some reports, I can help with that. One on the death penalty and prisoner abuse, etc., and then other for the LGBTIQ plus community.
Kent has traveled twice to the United Nations in Geneva as a volunteer, representing the advocates by delivering oral statements on the floor of the Human Rights Council, lobbying Human Rights Council delegates, participating in formal and informal briefings of the Human Rights Committee, and presenting at the Advocates Side event on gender and the death penalty.
Went to Geneva. You walk into the UN building and you walk into where all of the United Nations gather and you go, OMG. As you see all of the names of the countries spread around, there were multiple countries that we had done reports on. And so what we do is lobby the other countries that are there to make comments, to try and turn that ship. I know Guyana reports got back to the people in Guyana because the newspapers pick it up and they say the Human Rights Council criticized the government for doing this and doing that, and then the government comes on and says, well, we're going to respond or we're going to do this, and so it is particularly effective.
Thanks to the tireless work of Kent and other volunteers, the Advocates amplifies the voices of human rights defenders and connects them to the international community, enacting change around the world. Nathaniel Burhanu came to the Advocates as an asylum client, seeking protection in the U.S., but soon began sharing his skills and expertise as a volunteer.
And they were able to connect me to an attorney, and not too long after, I ended up moving to Minneapolis myself. So I was able to find out about some of the work the Advocates were doing, and it actually happened to be very pertinent to work that I was trying to do independently and with other organizations at the time. So I connected with a couple of people from the International Justice Program, and we prepared a human rights report on Ethiopia, and another one that had a particular focus on the status and condition of LGBTQ people in Ethiopia. And afterwards, I have just taken every opportunity I can to do work with the advocates.
Nathaniel, like many of our partners, brings first-hand experience to human rights reports, showing the real human impact of these issues.
I would say one of the most satisfying experiences was being granted an audience with the committee that actually would write the report. But it was very good because they had very incisive questions. They wanted us to demonstrate that what we are saying can be backed up by testimony and fact and all these other things. So it was quite fantastic, and eventually when they came out with the advisory report, you can actually see the parts that they had taken from our report. But they basically took some of our recommendations word for word, so that felt really good to see.
By putting our partners first and centering lived experiences like Nathaniel's, the Advocates continues to help bring the international community together in promoting human rights.
I've had the privilege of speaking in front of platforms that I don't think I would have had otherwise. Getting expert legal advice. That on its own, somebody who can take your words, your testimony, your country conditions reporting and write it in a manner that is readable and makes sense to the legal community, because ultimately that is who we are speaking to in most cases.
Kendra Hubank started as a women's human rights intern in January 2023. She then extended her internship again and again to continue contributing to the program.
I worked on quite a few different projects, from UN submissions to treaty bodies to Universal Periodic Review stakeholder reports drafted very closely with partners, because it's really about elevating the voice and experiences of partners and people within those contexts that know best. I was integrally involved in the report about prevention measures against sex trafficking, which has led to the blueprint stage that I know that the team is working on now with subject matter experts and other key stakeholders in the community to try and make those policy changes to improve protections.
In September 2024, Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon forced Kendra and her family to evacuate to Jordan. While she had to reduce her involvement with the Advocates during this time, she remained connected to the projects and people.
And so I disengaged a bit from my work with the Advocates, but that didn't diminish my investment in the work or the feeling that I had of really being part of the team. I think that something that's really important about the way that the Advocates for Human Rights works is that because so much of the work gets done hand in hand with interns and with volunteers, they're able to feel like a much closer part of the whole organization.
In February, Kendra returned to volunteering with the Advocates, supporting the expansion of our global network of women human rights defenders and our impact at the United Nations.
I was entrusted with interviewing a human rights defender from Belarus independently in order to draft a memo for the team for a closed-door meeting with the special rapporteur on the situation in Belarus. I was also able to participate in some of the meetings that we had with the broader network of human rights defenders in order to bring together different reports, internal resources, and prepare the team not only for the submissions it was making to represent its work in writing, but also for the time that the team has spent in Geneva.
Kendra's continued work with the Advocates shows the power of bringing together the human rights community to enact change worldwide. Ella Pancho started volunteering for the Advocates at our front desk, welcoming clients to our office. From there, she began to volunteer with our Watch program, where she observed court hearings in Hennepin County involving women and gender-expansive defendants, and recorded data and reflection from their cases. After graduating from college, Ella returned to volunteer with our Women's Rights program.
I only did a few observation shifts, but it made a big impact on me. And I decided to come back, but this time with the women's program. Yeah, it made a huge impact on me, and I currently actually am a legal assistant in immigration law, so it kind of came full circle.
As we focused on understanding the impact of the legal system on criminalized survivors of violence, Ella helped with research, drafted memoranda, and analyzed data from Watch Court observers.
I would come in and I would do court observation within criminal law and watching different cases. Basically, we were researching criminalized survivors and their experience in the courts and trying to make a trauma-informed practice, or trying to promote a trauma-informed practice through our research and our findings.
Ella is always willing to lend a hand in everything from data review, to assisting with training, to mentoring new volunteers. Her work continues to be a shining example of the wonderful community of volunteers we have at the Advocates.
I really felt like I was in a really collaborative environment where everyone really cared. Like everyone really cared about what we were doing. Everyone put so much time and effort into my work, and they really made me feel like even though I'm just, I'm coming here and volunteering, I'm not a full-time staff member, I'm still a big part of the team and my work matters and it makes an impact in the long term.
Child labor remains a widespread problem in Nepal, affecting an estimated 1.1 million children between the ages of 5 and 17. The Sanku Palabari Community School was founded by the Advocates and the local community in 1999 to provide a genuine alternative to child labor to the most vulnerable students in the area. It now serves 375 students in pre-K through 10th grade. By providing a free, high-quality education, as well as a daily meal, the school makes the right to education a reality for hundreds of Nepali children. Therese Pritchett first traveled to Nepal to volunteer at SPCS in 2010. Therese initially planned to help teach the students, but the principal asked if she could also help the teachers at the school be more effective educators. Therese was able to use her connections in Kathmandu to bring training to the school with lessons focused on English language skills, human rights education, and early childhood education.
So it was a lot about critical thinking and problem solving and trying to shift somewhat away from the rote memorization of, just parroting back whatever is in the book or the teacher's saying, but to try to get more engagement and involvement of the students in the classroom. So it was really a good challenge and a lot of fun and a lot of work. And I taught in every classroom from the youngest to the oldest, and then also watched teachers teach, and also did teacher training.
Therese has returned 4 times to work with SPS students and teachers. One memorable project was teaching every student and teacher, and even the principal, how to make friendship bracelets. Therese has also shared her love of SPCS with her community. After learning that SPCS had a new computer lab room, but no computers, she garnered support from friends, family, and her longtime yoga students to purchase 10 new computers so that SPCS students can further develop their education with computer literacy skills.
So I sent emails to all my people and said, what I really, really, really want is your help getting computers for the computer room. So we got about 5 computers, and that was exciting. And when I went back with the board in 2023, the end of 2023, I got to see the computer room. Well, and there were still only 5 computers. So I thought, well, it's not really enough, so we need more computers. So I did a round 2, and we got 5 more computers. And I just recently got a video from Jennifer with the computer room all laid out with 10 computers, and they're ready to roll now. It was really satisfying to see that all of that came together.
Therese's continued work with SPCS showcases that when a community comes together, great things can happen. Community comes together at the Dinard Legal Clinic, the nation's oldest firm-led medical legal partnership between Stinson LLP and the University of Minnesota Community University Healthcare Center. But last year, when the clinic saw a sharp rise in people from Guinea and Liberia in urgent need of help filing asylum applications, they reached out to the Advocates for help.
Even at a place like Stinson, where we have a culture of pro bono, I knew that we wouldn't have capacity to take on 100 plus asylum matters, full rep. So I knew who to reach out to, the Advocates, and we were able to launch this clinic to help folks get these applications filed. And it really is due to the unique nature of our legal clinic that I think we were so successful with this, because we leaned heavily on some amazing people at Cook, at the medical clinic, Jessica, Melnick, the victim advocate, the physicians who helped do exams. And then of course, just being on site at Kook, a place that population already trusted.
Over the course of 8 months, attorneys and paralegals in Minnesota and across the country prepared more than 100 pro se asylum applications and several petitions for at-risk guardianships. By bringing together attorneys, paralegals, medical professionals, victim advocates, translators, interpreters, clients, and others, the community responded to a complex and urgent need and helped people fleeing persecution to exercise their right to seek asylum.
I think when communities come together, they can build a better community and a better world. Because that's what I see us doing here, right? Is we're working together to bring these people to our community, right? And to give them a safe place to stay in our community, that they can grow and flourish and improve our community. That's really the whole basis of why we do what we do.
Special recognition goes to volunteer courtroom sketch artist Anita White. Anita brings her dynamic process of creating visual art to document what happens at immigration court, capturing the emotional impact of the U.S. immigration system on those who come before it. As a volunteer with the Immigration Court Observation Project, Anita shows the power of bearing witness and that each of us has a part to play in defending human rights. Thanks again to all our award winners. You're living proof that when community comes together, we can achieve amazing things.